What's up, YouTube? Welcome to a new video. Hopefully this isn't too blurry. No? All right, we're good. Anyway, what's up, guys? It's currently Thursday, January something. I do not know. It's January 13th. Crazy. January's already like halfway over. Okay. Anyway, as you saw, we've had a really good week so far. So you saw the 463 bench, which is a PR. It's a kilo PR and a pretty decent pause on it. So that was exciting. And then we hit a 635, 634 technically squat because it was like 1.5 kilo plates on the end of it. Anyways, it was like 634 pounds. So now it's Thursday, so I'm about to go deadlift. I'm gonna take y'all with me to show you that because we have a chance, depending on what we pull today, we're gonna have a chance to hit a PR total, a weekly PR total with singles, which was kind of unexpected because I did not expect to have this kind of week. If I looked at it like this over, like on Sunday, I kind of looked at what I was, I looked at what I was gonna do this week. I knew there was a good chance to hit a really good bench. I was feeling really good there. I did not think squat was going to be like that. And it's crazy because I hit that 634, and it moved better than my 585. So I went 585, then I went 611, and then I went 634. So I was going to call it at 611, honestly, but the bar speed moved well. It didn't feel great, but I knew based on how I feel, and I was like, I kind of had to talk myself. Had a little bit of a talk with myself because like I knew it was there and I knew it wasn't going to be a reach really. So essentially I just had to step up and do it. So I did that and that was great. So now today, depending on how pulls go, we're gonna have a chance to hit a weekly total PR, which would be huge because we're like 7 weeks out and generally we don't feel this strong 7 weeks out, right? Okay. So on top of that, I wanted to talk about in this video, because if you watched my last video, kind of said the direction that this channel was going. So here it is, right? I want to talk about some things I wish I knew before I started powerlifting or when I first got into powerlifting. So I first started training for powerlifting at the end of 2017. Literally January 2018 was when I first truly started training for it. But around summer of 2017 into the fall of 2017, I kind of knew I wanted to do it. I just had other commitments at the time that I wasn't able to devote to powerlifting at that time. But I knew that's where I wanted to go, right? So the seeds were already planted and that's where I wanted to go. Now, I didn't know anything when I got into the sport. I literally did a lot. My first year, before I was even with Joey, I've been with Joey for like almost three years now. I don't even know. Before I was Joey, I was pretty much all self-coached. So there was a lot of experimenting and it was a lot of learning. So which was good for my development, but it also like process could have been a little bit more refined. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I wrote down some notes here. I'm gonna go through about half of them now, and then we're gonna go deadlift, and then we're gonna come back and talk about the rest of the half, right? So these aren't in any order. These are just things I thought about, and then I asked some of my buddies kind of stuff they would have known. So the first one is probably the biggest one I see with beginners is the equipment you train on doesn't matter. You just need to get better, right? So I didn't train, or I didn't even have access to kilo plates or a competition rack until I already had like a 470 Wilks score. My total was already over 1600 as a 93 before I even started training on kilo plates, before I even had that available to me, right? So for the first year, I trained at like a Gold's Gym, honestly, and it was fine. So I see a lot of misconception with younger lifters, up and coming lifters that feel the need that they need to have comp plates, need to have kilo plates. You don't need that, right? I trained on Gold's Gym with, to me, I didn't know any different. Their bars were fine, but now obviously they're really like shitty bars compared to a hollow power bar and a Eleiko bar, right? Just normal commercial gym plates, commercial gym benches, which are a little bit low sometimes. You know, you gotta put the bands on. Just things like that, but don't get caught up in your head that you gotta have really good equipment in a day. You just need to train. And I tell a lot of my younger lifters this now, or people who don't have access to comp equipment and they worry about it. One, it's all mental. Like I just tell them like, hey, weight is weight. You're gonna go, you're gonna ball out, right? And two, if you can lift in a commercial gym on those bars and on those racks, on those benches, you can lift anywhere. So it almost makes you a more versatile lifter, and it doesn't mean you're not relying on a certain kind of equipment when you go into competition. Like it doesn't matter what they have in the warm-up room, because if you can go from training on that you can pretty much do anything. So in one way, it kind of gives you a step up, but you just have to look at it as it's not a disadvantage. It's going to make you a more well-rounded lifter, right? And two, obviously, like if you can't control what you lift with, you don't need to be worried about it. You just need to be going out and getting better with it, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Another one, don't compare yourself to the top lifters. So it's good to look up to top lifters, maybe see how they do things for motivation, maybe study them, but two, you don't need to compare yourself to them, right? So if you're newer into the game, even if you've only been lifting for like 2 years and then you decide you want to powerlift, you're still so new. Because a lot of the top lifters, even if a top lifter has only been powerlifting for a year or two, generally they've been lifting for a lot longer, right? Because like you're not born with a 400-pound bench press. Like you gotta spend some time in the gym to do it. Whether or not you're powerlifting or not doesn't matter, but you're competing, you're training, you're getting that experience and that training age under you, right? So don't compare yourself to top lifters. I see this a lot. Like you'll see someone who's like, but they've been in the sport, they've been lifting for like 2 years, they've been in the sport for like 6 months, and they go and see some dude who's number 3 in the world, and like, oh, how am I supposed to compete with that? He's out to be like 600 pounds. Well, here's the thing, you're not supposed to. So you need to stop worrying about that and just focus on your own development, and you gotta think long term, right? Powerlifting is a long term game, you gotta think long term. Think about it like this. If you're a high school basketball player, let's say you're a good high school basketball player. You don't watch an NBA game and go, oh my God, I can't guard LeBron James. How am I ever gonna do that? Well, because you're not worried about that right now, because that's not where you're at, right? There's a process, there's a developmental process that takes to go from the high school to the NBA. Same thing with powerlifting. Some people's process is very short, others are very longer, but every top lifter goes through that process. So what you have to understand is, it's a process. You don't need to do that, so don't worry about it. Focus on yourself. With that being said, look up to them for motivation. Watch how they lift. Watch how they go about business. Watch how they compete. Watch how they do things. Study them, but do not compare yourself to them, right? And realistically, don't compare yourself to anyone because you just want to get better at that point, right? So keep that in mind as well. Another one, just building on top of that. When I first started out, it's really about quality over quantity, and this kind of took me a while to, I really feel like up until this past like year and a half, this really hasn't sunk in, and now I feel like it really has sunk in, and it's really like you don't want to, like, you don't need to chase numbers, okay? That's not what's going to help you in the long run. Every time you overshoot or you reach or you chase a number, you have to pay for it down the road, right? Like payment is coming, so you really want to focus on quality, right? Quality work is what's going to build you up long term. It's going to help with injury prevention too. So one of the reasons, fortunately, I haven't had any serious injuries. I think every powerlifter goes through little dings here and there. That's fairly common, but I haven't been seriously injured. And for the most part, it's because I focus on quality training, right? I push it, like I know when to push it now because I know my body, but I'm not actively looking to push it every session. I'll dial it back for a few weeks if needed, and I'll feel fine doing it because I look at how quality is my training session right now, how fast is the bar moving, how am I feeling. As long as I'm feeling good, the sessions are quality, like I'm getting better. I don't need to hit higher numbers every week, higher numbers every month to know that I'm getting better. I just know that if I take care of what I need to take care of, I'm gonna be good. In the long run, it's going to help, right? So really focus on having quality training sessions and not worrying about the number on the bar, right? So if we build progress with quality, the number on the bar is going to come, and then eventually everything just becomes inevitable in that sense, right? So quantity over quality. I just fucked that up. Quality over quantity, all right? So now I'm gonna go deadlift, and then we'll come back, we'll finish off this talk, so. Alright, what's up guys, back from the deadlifts, as you can see. So did not end up PRing my total, as I mentioned earlier. Still I would have needed to pull like 690 or 700 today. Only pulled 672. Felt okay, not too bad. And then I dropped down to some light sixes with like 520, I believe was the weight on that RP6. So overall, pretty solid deadlift day. Not too bad. Some things to work on, but overall pretty good. And this week still ended up being like one of my, I think it was the third highest week I've ever had. Maybe fourth. It was either third or fourth. But the 2 weeks in front of it were my best 2 weeks ever, and that happened when I was 2 and 3 weeks out from my last meet. So to have a really good week this far out from a meet, I'm like 7 or 8 weeks out right now. Really, it's a really good sign, right? Trending. So hopefully we can just maintain that momentum slowly over the next month and a half, and then we can do something really nice. But yeah, other than that, back to, I have a few more things, back to the topic of the video, things I wish I knew when I started powerlifting. So 2 more things, because I don't want this video to be too long. I already forgot what I was going to say. Okay. Now, I wish I would have hired a coach sooner. So I was thinking about if I should even include this, and I decided I should. I self-coached myself for about 1.5 years before I got with Joey, or a year, and it really helped. One, I did a lot of experimenting, and it helped a lot, but it also, looking back at it, this is even gonna go into my next point. Like when you first get into the sport, you have a 2 or 3 year window where you can see amazing progress, and I think while I did see good progress because I was doing good stuff, I wasn't doing crazy stupid shit, but I was doing good stuff, right? So I did see good progress during that time. I think my progress could have been even better if I had had a coach like right away, right? So I would recommend getting a coach or having someone in your corner to help you. All right, so my camera just died, so I just replaced it. So what I was saying was, when you initially start off, try to get like a little friend group, find someone in your corner, maybe find a powerlifting gym nearby if you have that option, and try to get involved in the sport a little bit to try to see if it's going to be right for you before you even hire a coach, right? Because when you're brand new, you might want to hold off on hiring a coach, and the only reason I say this is make sure that you want to fully commit. So let's say you just have your friends help you out for a month or so, and then you decide you want to fully commit. There's no timetable here, but just make sure that you want to fully commit before you make that investment, right? So just because you don't want to go out and hire a coach and then after 3 months be like, oh, actually I don't want to even powerlift anymore. Then you never even competed. You just hired a coach, you spent your money, you spent your time, you know what I'm saying? So just kind of make sure that you have an idea of what you want to do in powerlifting, whether you just want to have fun or you want to try to be a little bit competitive or you just want to improve your numbers and get stronger overall, right? There's a million reasons why you could choose to do powerlifting, and all reasons coach can help you get there, right? But just make sure you have a plan and what you want to do, and then go out and get that coach to help you get there, right? So that is another tip. I wish I would have gotten a coach sooner, even though I did see great progress and self-coaching did help my development a little bit. Having a coach is a good resource to have. You can see how they do things, you can see how they interact, you can ask them questions, right? So it's an invaluable resource that you can pretty much have, and it would have even helped my development even more than my development already happened. That didn't make any sense, but you get what I'm saying, right? It would have sped me along even better. So I do wish I would have gone out and hired a coach sooner. Okay, so the last thing, and I had this a little bit when I was starting out, I see this very common among newer lifters, is being obsessed with weight classes. Okay, so if you're a new lifter, the last thing you need to be worried about is being obsessed with your weight class, right? You want to take advantage of that window, like I mentioned, that newbie gains window that can extend like I believe if you do it right, it can extend longer than people actually think. It's just most people don't ever do it right, so it doesn't actually ever get to that point. But you want to take advantage of that window, and by taking advantage of that window, you should be gaining muscle, gaining strength throughout that whole period. You really don't want to limit yourself, right? Because most newer lifters are underweight in general, but they're so obsessed with staying within that weight class that they limit their potential, right? So essentially we want unlimited gains for as long as we can have, and that's going to make you better down the road, because you have to think farther down the road, not where you're at now, right? And so to put that in perspective, look at outside of heavy weights in like 120s, or 125s now, I guess, if you're USAPL, pretty much most of the weight class winners are relatively jacked, and they have a good amount of muscle mass, right? So mass moves mass. So yeah, the best lifters are generally jacked because they fill out their frame, they fill out their weight class. So if you're a newer lifter, you should be thinking about that, right? And a good rule of thumb is they're not actually weight classes, they're more like height classes, right? If you go to a meet and let's just say you're a 74 kg and you're 6 inches taller than everybody else, well, hey man, I tell you what, you're probably not in the right weight class, right? Don't matter how good you are there, your best lifting is going to be up in a higher weight class. So just keep that in mind. Ideally, what a newer lifter should do, in my opinion, is one, don't worry about weight classes until you have a relatively filled out frame. And even if you're super competitive, that's fine, being competitive in a little weight class, but then make that decision when it's time to go up, but don't be reluctant to, like, you don't want to do it too late, right? You want steady progress throughout your early developmental years. So ideally, I would recommend just eating, right? Get 1 gram of protein in per pound of body weight, get the gains in, and then when you go to compete, because you're still newer into the game, just sign up for whatever weight class you're at, right? You don't want to have to water cut yourself when you're just getting into the sport. You don't want to have to do any kind of diet, any kind of gains that's going to throw off your performance, right? You're brand new, you're trying to have fun, you want to see what numbers you can hit. So just be eating, training, working hard, taking care of your recovery, and then just go see how much you weigh, and then just go sign up for that weight class, so that way you don't have to worry about anything. You're gonna go in and you're gonna have a great time at your meet because you're not water cutting 10 pounds to be a 93 kilo that's 8 inches taller than everybody else, right? So just kind of keep those things in mind. I think a lot of people get kind of obsessed with that early on, and it makes sense. But if you see yourself in this sport for long term and you want to take advantage of your full long-term potential, don't limit yourself early on and restrict your potential and your gains and your numbers really by staying within a weight class that your body's not designed for. Now, on the other note of that, I don't mean if you decide to go up a weight class, don't just go to McDonald's every week and all of a sudden you gain 20 pounds in a week. That's not going to make you a better lifter, right? Steady increase, steady gains, the key word is steady, right? Steady gains over the course of time is going to be better, because like I mentioned, the top lifters in most weight classes, male and female, are generally, they got some good muscle on them, they're generally pretty jacked. So just keep that in mind when deciding to go up. And just to give you perspective, when I decided to go up, so I started off as a 93. My first meet I weighed like 198. By my third or fourth meet I was right around 205, so I was right in that 93 range. My last meet before I went up to 105, I did like a 3-pound water cut. So I was around 208 to 209, so nothing crazy. And then I decided to go up to 105. Now, 10 months later, I competed in my first 105 powerlifting meet. Do you know how much I weighed? I weighed like 98 kilos because I wanted to maintain my body composition. I wanted to put on as much muscle as possible between 93 and 105. I was in no rush. I wanted to do it the right way. And so I showed up like 12 pounds underweight my first 105 meet, but it didn't matter because I was understanding the process, I understood the long-term goal. I went and I ended up having a great meet. So yeah, just do it the right way. And then my second meet at 105, I've only done 3 meets at 105. My second meet at 105, I was 228, so I still was under. And then this past meet, I was around 230. So all in all, it took me like a year and a half, 2 years to fully fill out 105 to go make that jump all the way up into that weight class. But doing it rightly, doing it correctly, my numbers have exploded. My body composition is roughly the same. And yeah, so just kind of keep that in mind. But overall, I think a lot of younger lifters have that problem, and I think it limits their potential long term, right? So just keep that in mind. Allergies are killing me right now. But anyway, overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and hopefully you guys can take something away from this, and I'll see you guys next time.